Hello, hello. Happy Friday, everyone. It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Darryl Glover. And today is Friday. It is time to have some fun. It's time to enjoy the weekend. It is time to turn up. Today, I get to hang out with one of my favorite friends, and we're going to really discuss marketing updates. Over the how long has it been, Sandy? 3, 4, 5 months. We've really been hanging out together quite a bit and just really
Yeah,
educating the world and our eye care professionals the importance of marketing and giving them all the tips to really take their practice to the next level. But yeah, friends and family, I'd like to welcome Dr. Sandy. Dr. Sandy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great as always. I get to hang with my favorite optometrist, of course.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for hanging out with me today. And I'm super excited because, as I mentioned earlier, over the last about 3, 4 months, we've been hanging out. We've been hanging out a lot on Clubhouse. And
Yep,
for those that are unfamiliar with Clubhouse, Dr. Sandy, if you don't mind just giving a good overview of this platform, because it's a very powerful
sure.
platform and it can help you grow tremendously on a personal level and also on a professional level.
Sure. It's again, for those of you that haven't heard, it is Clubhouse. Right now, it's only for the iOS app. So those of you with Android, I know you're feeling a little bit left out. It is a video drop-in chat app, and I think it started actually last year, around this time. And these brilliant two gentlemen founded it. They've been in the industry for a long time, creating social media apps and whatnot, but they just latched onto this audio app because they absolutely both agree they love audio. So it's an easy app to get into. Once you have an iOS, I think again soon to be Android. I think in the next month or two they're going to start rolling out the beta version of it. But it's download it. You have to be invited. It's still an invitation, so there's a little bit of a sense of eliteness, but pretty much now it's pretty easy to get an invitation. If you don't have one and you want one and you're on the iOS, I do have a few left over, so feel free to drop in a note in the comment and I'll go ahead and invite you to it. But it's just been an amazing platform for many. There's always two sides. There's always some criticisms here and there whenever a social media app starts, but I'll tell you, there has been exponential growth for a lot of marketers, for a lot of small businesses, for a lot of artists, a lot of entertainers. It's just any industry that you can imagine is on this app, and you basically turn it on either on your iPhone or your iPad, and you can drop right into what they call rooms, which are just chat rooms, and it shows your face. You upload your avatar, so to speak, of yourself, and you put in a nice bio that has some good optimized keyword phrases, and you're good to go. And just start listening in. I recommend people sort of listen in on the app, kind of get a feel. There's all kinds of nuances, and I can drop a link later to an article that I wrote about it that I actually have to update, when I actually invited in a LinkedIn expert, Melanie Darrow, onto the Clubhouse app. So she had me write a guest blog post, and I update it routinely anytime something's changed. So I'm due to update that soon, because there have been a tremendous amount of changes on the app. But it's a great way to really get to feel like you know people, you connect with people. There might be mentors that you've always wanted to talk with that you can get right up on stage. I won't go into too much detail about the app itself, but we might be able to do that another time and do a screen share and kind of talk about it a little bit. But it's just been a tremendous opportunity for so many people. And you and I reached out and said, we've got to do this.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and create a club, because they started creating these clubs where you could, sort of own a club and open up these different rooms, so to speak. And just we've scheduled it for 4:30 in the afternoons, Eastern Daylight Time, for folks to just come in and chat about the latest marketing tips, sort of what we're going to do today.
Yeah.
But it's kind of neat because it's that conversational feeling. People that were always afraid to get in front of video don't seem to be shy. They don't shy away from it. They get up on what we call the stage, and they feel really comfortable talking and discussing important topics. Some really deep conversations can ensue on the platform, but you could be making dinner and still having a conversation, or lounging around in your PJs. It's just a neat thing. It's been great, and all kinds of information on the internet about it. So that's my plug for Clubhouse.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic platform. And the thing that I really love about it, Dr. Sandi, is that you get to really have conversation with the great minds in a lot of these big companies, a lot of the gurus or the folks that are head of operations or head of marketing. And you get to have that one-on-one conversation or literally listen to what they have to say and how they were able to build their career or help a company move forward. So for me, I think that's priceless, just to be able to have access to someone like that so easily. So that's been very rewarding for me, in addition to hanging out with you as well.
Well, ditto, my friend, of course.
Well, check it out, Dr. Sandi. I know over the last, again, 3-4 months, we've really been diving into different topics, everything from, the importance of influencers to email marketing, to anything you could think of underneath the sun. So today I just really wanted to kind of recap in regards to some of the main touch points that we touched on Clubhouse over the last couple of months. And actually, this is something that I really want to do pretty much every month. I want to just bring you on and do a marketing update where we just kind of recap some of the conversations that we had. If folks do not have Apple or an iPhone or iOS based system to be able to get in and really listen to the conversation that we have. So today I would like to get started with influencer marketing, because I think that's a huge piece. And for those that are listening and that's going to SECO, I will be giving a lecture on influencer marketing. So I'd love for you guys to tap in, tune in, and join me, and let's social distance and have a good conversation and learn more. But in between now and then, let's listen to Dr. Sandi and hear what she has to say. I mean, if you don't mind just telling us a little bit about what a influencer marketer is, or an influencer is, I guess I should say, and maybe breaking down the levels from nano to micro to mega, and how this can actually be utilized in a practice.
Sure. And of course, we have to acknowledge that you are also an influencer, my friend. So it's only fitting that we start off with that conversation. And I will turn the interview back over to you a little bit, but it's an exciting, it's been around for a long time, and some of the big gurus have talked about it for a while. Gary Vaynerchuk, who's somebody I follow, and he talks about the importance of influencer marketing. So many others do, but the bottom line is, it used to be we would look at sort of macro influencers, where these people that have millions of followers or 1 million followers, and think, hey, wouldn't it be neat? I mean, we've seen this kind of marketing way before social media came out. We just now put a label to it. When, we would see on television, there would be a celebrity who was marketing, a product.
Right.
And, all of a sudden when someone comes on the TV commercial, boy, do we get starstruck. And hey, if someone like Tom Brady is promoting something, we're certainly going to buy it, love him or hate him. Right. But, what's happened is, in the online world, the social media world, we've discovered, a lot of the experts in social media have discovered that micro and nano influencers tend to be a lot more powerful in actually promoting your products and services. And a micro influencer tends to be 10,000 to 100,000 followers, and a nano influencer we say, well, why is it important to have, those instead of the big guns? Well, what happens is, we're seeing on social media that for the nano and micro influencers, they get a lot more engagement. They have a true fan following. They have people that understand what it is that they're doing on a day-to-day basis. They're not just starry-eyed. They're not just saying, oh, I wish I could get to know that celebrity. They actually feel like they know that celebrity. They feel like they can, almost touch them. They're more one-on-one. They feel like, because those influencers tend to turn around and actually, they will respond to DMs. They will respond to the comments. They know how important their following is. So they want to maintain that engagement. So what we've started to recommend, or I've started to recommend to my clients, is to make sure that if you want to promote something in your practice, which don't we all, whether you have a subspecialty, whether you have a certain, line of eyewear products, you want to make sure you find a micro influencer or nano influencer that is either, ideally it's in one of those raving fan patients that you have that does have a big following, and you have them go out there wearing your glasses and mentioning, hey, I got these at Dr. Darryl Glover's office today, and man, do I love these. I love how I can wear my new glasses looking at the computer all day long, and I don't get tired. When I come home, I don't mind looking at my phone. I can go for hours. So they're going to want to know, well, where did you get this? And because we're a local business, it becomes even easier to have a micro influencer if they're local. Are they doing something called geotagging their posts? Are they putting your office location in their posts while they're promoting you, promoting the eyewear, et cetera? And wouldn't it be even more amazing if they could, if you had like an Instagram wall at your practice where you have something set up where it's an absolute perfect backdrop for one of those influencers to go ahead and get a picture taken, either with your staff, with the eyewear, bragging about, how you took good care of them, showing that you're doing the COVID practices, best practices, et cetera. And of course, I always throw out the legal disclaimer, just make sure that you get, full approval from that patient that it's okay to post. They could go ahead and post it, but if you want to take that social media post, even if they do it themselves, you want to make sure you get in writing that it's okay for you to also post that. So I was kind of throw that out there as that legal disclaimer. So tell me, let me go ahead and throw it back at you. We had a great conversation with Dr. Christy Wynn. I've got the blog post, everybody can check that out. We'll talk about that at the end of this session, but she told us how she became a micro influencer and then actually became a brand ambassador. She's actually, getting products and hopefully in the future some sponsorship, because she's doing such an amazing job of getting seen, getting engagement on all of her posts. And by the way, so is Dr. Darryl. So why don't you tell your audience how you became a micro influencer? Because you've got 30,000 or more, over all of your social media. Yeah. Tell us how many followers. I know on LinkedIn alone, you've got like 25,000 followers. So.
Yeah, on LinkedIn, I'm around a little over 20,000, which is a decent amount. And on Instagram, it's probably around 2,000 something now. And I had a previous page, which was my practice page when I had a practice out in Nigeria, that was around about 5,000, which I still have those followers sitting there. I got to figure out something to do to capitalize and monetize on that situation.
Sure.
Of course, with Defocus Media, I think we have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. I can't remember. I mean, there's so many different platforms. But, for me, it really started with, the exam room, the exam lane, right? What am I doing every day? What products am I talking about? What do I love? What am I passionate about? And for me, that's how I was able to start to jump into working with some of these companies out there and becoming an influencer for their brand. Funny story, one that just kind of fell in my lap was transitions. I became a transitions change agent. And it wasn't because I love transitions. I was actually one of those folks out there that was saying that, hey, this is for old folks, right? I don't have anything to do with it. But my business partner, Dr. Jennifer Lyerly, she got invited to Transitions Academy, and she was like, they asked her if she knew anyone else that has a strong social media following, and she recommended me. And this was the first year that they had what they call change agents, folks that make change in the eye care industry, really influencers in a way, right? And
sure.
She reached out to me, and I ended up going. And I went there, and I just fell in love with the product. They gave me a sample of it. I sent in a pair of glasses, and from there it was on. I just started prescribing from the chair like crazy, and then it grew into, me being a part of that program, and then, them being a partner with us for Defocus Media. And now I'm forever talking transitions. As a matter of fact, some people even call me Mr. Transition, simply because you think
that's awesome.
And you think of someone that represents it, my name tends to pop up quite a bit. But it's all about what you love, what you're passionate about, what you're good with, and what your following may have interest in. And that's how I became an influencer. For those out there that may be looking at how can you find an influencer, you can really, like Dr. Sandi mentioned, start in your practice. I mean, I would ask each one of your patients, that come in, especially that millennial crowd, especially moms, but just everyone in general. Hey, do you do any blogging? Do you do any vlogging? What are you passionate about? That's what you can start off with. And from there, that can lead into the blogging or vlogging or social media, because that's a good piece to be able to tap into their network with whatever specialty that you may have. For example, maybe you have a mom come in and she was like, oh yeah, I'm on this mom's group and I'm an influencer, and we were talking about whatever it may be. And then you could ask her to maybe be an influencer for you, where you could talk about daily contacts for the kids, or sunglasses. I mean, there's so many different avenues that you could take. Or you can even go online and just Google, vloggers, bloggers, like in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And then you'll be able to find some folks like that. Or just doing hashtag research on different social media platforms, especially Instagram. That's a great way as well. But really starting in your practice is the best way to, attract these influencers and have them be a part of your network and push your brand out there as well. What other ways do you utilize with influencers as far as trying to find them and create relationships with them, Dr. Sandi?
Well, and I just wanted to backtrack real quick just to from what you just said. Is kind of interesting, even though Jennifer recommended you because you did have a huge following on social media.
Right.
She recognized that, either you were or you were going to be a fan of transitions, but it was interesting because you're saying that it actually starts in the exam room, which is kind of neat, because when we talked to Dr. Wynn, she was actually talking about how it starts with social media. That, of course you did have a good following, but it's a great, both of those perspectives are absolutely correct. And, it's just interesting because you could find your micro influencers from the exam room.
Yeah.
I would also say that you want to look at your Google reviews or look at your Facebook reviews, see who has given you that, not just the 5 stars that you're getting, but also what are they saying? Look at the ones that are just, they can't say enough. Like they just left the exam and they're just all over it.
Very true.
Maybe reach out to them and ask them, or you can do a little bit of research on your own. Of course, everybody's online nowadays. So you can find out, go to their Instagram. You can, if you can search and find their names pretty easily, that's going to show you right there that they're probably an influencer. And then just look at their social media posts, look in general on Instagram, on Facebook, how much engagement they do get. And if you start to see some of those, you're getting hundreds of likes, even into the thousands. And then you're also seeing that they're commenting on those comments that they get, you can see that they understand the importance of engagement. So doing that, and also, I mentioned geotagging. It's so important to make sure that when you yourself are posting on your social media accounts, that you want to put your location there, because when you go up to an Instagram, it's called the Explore tab. When you go to that little, the magnifying lens, the search feature, and then you just type in the name of your town, you want to see if any of your posts are showing up. The more that you're engaged and, engaging on that platform, the more that you're geotagging your posts, the more the chances that you're going to actually show up in those top 9 positions. And I'll tell you, a lot of people search locally. They want to get their information. It's not just on Google. They'll go to platforms like Instagram or, even Yelp, which they'll find through, going on Google. But, there's all different ways that people find as they're moving into town, they're going to search out, let's see, is this Dr. Hip? Is he showing up on Instagram? Well, look at that. He is. Or is he showing up on TikTok? Maybe, maybe you're over there. But these are all the ways that you're going to get different patient bases. You're going to get, a nice, diverse patient base. And I think that's it. I mean, look at local podcasts. Like you said, look at any local bloggers. You just type in podcast Raleigh Durham, type in blogger Tampa, Florida. Look for who are the journalists in town. The other thing too is going offline, network, get into those network groups. It's a little bit tricky right now because of COVID, but things are happening. The vaccines are happening. Precautions are better. There are businesses that are, starting to meet again at the local, business networking, international BNIs, or your local chambers of commerce, et cetera. Get involved in those, become an officer in those. And then you become, the micro influencer for the town. You become the expert.
Absolutely.
So,
And
I
that's
kind of combined a couple of topics, but
yeah, and that's huge that you become an influencer for your town, because I always tell folks, I was just having this conversation with some students the other night that we're a legislative profession, so you want to be seen in your community as a leader. You want folks to know who you are. So when it comes to us being able to protect our rights or expand our scope, folks know that you are the leader in healthcare, and those legislators know as well. So it's a big piece to be an influencer, being seen in your community as well. Dr. Sandi, we got a question here. Carlos Hernandez. Do you recommend having someone post for you on social media, like an assistant from Fiverr or some other type of platform out there? What are your thoughts in regards to having that third party help? Because I'll be upfront with you. Defocus Media actually started as a social media management company. We started off doing social media for eye care professionals. We were doing their Facebook, their Instagram, their Twitter. We were helping to create content and posting it as well. And when I tell you it was a nightmare, it was a nightmare, because they did not want to listen. They didn't want to have naked posts or pictures from their office. They wanted everything stopped. But this was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I'm pretty sure they have a change in mindset now. But to me, it was just a hot ass mess. It was too much for me.
I have, Carlos, it's a great question. I have very strong feelings about that. I really think that it should come from your office. If it's not coming from you, the doctor, at least have a staff member who is very savvy about social media, but you want them to be transparent. You want them to let the audience know that this is Sharon from XYZ practice. I'm the, front office manager and I do the posting or something like that. I'm representing Dr. Carlos, because it's just, unless that virtual assistant or that social media manager really, really gets you, that means gets your branding, gets your voice. I mean, really has to understand your voice. Then I just don't think, and I'll tell you, the platforms are not real excited about having someone other than the actual authentic person coming in there and posting for you. That's why I say, even if it's a staff member, make sure that it's transparent that it's one of the staff members doing it. I mean, this goes way back. I remember years ago, I attended an ethics in social media, and there was a gentleman there who I think he was a PhD in ethics. And he was talking about, even back then, the social media platforms were pretty clear that they did not want someone coming in. And this wasn't just fake accounts coming out and posting. This was honest to goodness people hiring someone to do their posting for them. And I'll tell you, especially on a platform like, it's nothing against Fiverr, because I love them. And, I have hired them for different tasks, just not for social media management, because what starts to happen is typically those kind of companies will have, even like you said, Darryl, will have several accounts. And what starts to happen, if you're doing the same industry, some of these posts start to sound kind of the same. And you're not plagiarizing, or you're not using the exact same words, but there's a sound, and there's almost this sense where Google is going to pick up on that, or the platforms are going to pick up on that. So I know it's difficult. I know it takes a lot of time there, and I recommend doing some research before you start going out there and posting sort of willy-nilly. It's important to understand who your audience is, who you're trying to reach, who's your ideal patient, what are your top five ideal patient humans or avatars. Really define that, so how you want to speak to them and get into their minds and know, what kind of problems and solutions you can offer. But it's just, unless you can get someone local who really understands your voice, I would say, listen, if you've got an afternoon that you set aside, a Friday afternoon that you want to do admin work, you can batch create social media posts. And I don't recommend that you do them, I'm going to do one post and it's going to be posted to LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, etc. You want them to have a different sound to them because all the platforms have different expectations. Certain ones like text better, certain like video better. So I really would suggest that just take an hour. And if you have someone on staff that really knows what they're doing or can take courses, I do some of that training for offices, for their staff. I can teach them how to do social media appropriately. But, get some training for them or just for yourself and just set aside an hour a week. When I say batch create them, just create them. Have a, in Google, have a Google Drive, some folders where, there's a whole technique where you can batch produce a video and do maybe 3 hours of video once every 3 to 6 months. And you might do, you like I say, 2 or 3 hours of video where you just do these real short and sweet 5-minute clips. You can turn that into an entire social media campaign where you have them chopped up. And I have certain tools that I recommend. You send it to them, they do the transcription, then you cut the transcription into these little bite-sized pieces. Then you turn all of those pieces into social media posts using tools like Canva or, some other, image and graphics and video editing software. But I love Canva. It's so easy.
Yeah.
But you can create 3 to 6 months worth of post, and then every now and then interject something that's relevant, something that just happened that you want to create a post to address in the moment. But otherwise, if you shoot again 3 hours of video, you can make that last for 6 months.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe a pain for those 3 hours, but have fun with it. It's not, it's not a bad
well
thing.
worth it. It's well worth it. And when you sit down and think about it, with eyecare, we have our hashtags every month, right? So why not create that content and then you got at least a whole month to be able to post that campaign because it may be glaucoma month or age-related macular degeneration
Absolutely.
or sunglasses week or month or whatever it may be. So at least you already got the whole content up and ready to run, and it makes life a lot easier for you. And it's you creating it. It's your authentic content. It's the language that you speak. So when patients see that content and they come into the office, it connects. It's not like
Right.
you have this one appearance online and you go into the practice and it's a completely different vibe. It matches, your fly online, but also in the office as well. So I think that's a win-win situation all around. Dr. Sandi, I wanted to circle back on something. While we were doing our Clubhouse chats, we were talking about reviews quite a bit. And I know you mentioned reviews earlier, and you also mentioned the word ethics. And, I think a lot of people don't understand the importance of reviews, but they don't also understand how reviews can get you in trouble, especially when it comes to HIPAA.
Sure.
So I would love for you to kind of dive a little deep into that topic and break it down and just give, some of our colleagues an overview of how great reviews can be, but also some things to watch for so they don't
Watch out for. Sure.
get fined,
Sure. So we'll break it into 2 parts. The good part about it, or the importance of it is, we talk about search engine optimization, SEO. We talk about Google. We want to be in that top 3 positions. The first would be fantastic of what we call the 3-pack. It's when you type in something like Tampa eye doctor or Tampa optometrist, you want your practice to show up in that little box. Let me use my hands, that little box that shows up on Google that's right below the ads, because we know there's 3 ads that show up at the very top. And then there's the 3-pack, which shows the map. And then there's all the organic posts below that. So just talking about that 3-pack, people typically gravitate towards that when they're just using the phrase, they're a potential new patient. They're not one of your previous patients because they're going to type in your name to look for you. It's like, wait a minute, where is Dr. Glover again? I can't remember where he's working. They'll type that in. So of course your name's going to come up all over the first page. But it's when that new person, maybe new in town or just hasn't seen an eye doctor or wants to change eye doctors, they're going to type in the name of the town and then either optometrist or eye doctor or, flip it, eye doctor, optometrist plus the name of the town. You want to rank for that as high as you can. And there's ways to do that. We'll discuss that in another session. But to get there, one of the most important things that you can do is have reviews and have 4 and 5-star reviews. So, and we had a guest, we do that over in Clubhouses. We do get experts. You and I know a lot, but we certainly don't claim to be experts in everything about digital marketing. So we go out and reach out and have folks to come in and become guest speakers for us that just might specialize in that particular area. So we had a gentleman from across the pond, Gary Kusalu is his name, and he was educating us on the fact that you really should be getting 10 good or excellent reviews per year. And that was news to me. I hadn't even thought about that. Of course, the more the merrier. But think about when we go, we want to check out a restaurant. We've heard about a restaurant, or, we have a certain type of restaurant we want to go to. We'll type that into Google in the search field. And, it might be Italian food in in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we're going to see the top 3 restaurants show up, and we're going to be swayed that probably means one of those top 3 are what we're going to go to, but we're also going to look directly at the reviews. So not only is it important to get you in those top 3 positions, it's also important for someone to make a decision. Which one of these 3 restaurants that are at the top do I really want to go to? I'm going to look right at the reviews. I don't know about you, but I pay attention to that. So believe me, potential patients are paying attention to that. So the ethics comes in 2 ways. First of all,
jump into the ethics piece, Dr. Sandi. There's another piece that Gary had brought up, which I thought was pretty interesting. I remember him saying when you respond back, he said that you should mention your practice name as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. That was a great point, because Google. So if someone says, "Oh, I had such a great experience at Dr. Glover's office, ABC practice," you're going to, I'll get into this with the ethics. You're going to respond with saying, "Thank you, so and so. I appreciate you giving our practice, name it, a 5-star review." Because what that does is that's text, and that alerts. That's one more place, one more location, one more mention of the name of your practice. So Google's always out there looking for phrases. And even an added thing, I don't know if you mentioned this, but an added thing, and this is part of what I'm going to get into with the ethics and laws and HIPAA and all that, is if they mention it in their review, something about a brand name, go ahead and put that in there. If they say, "Oh, I love my Ray-Bans," or "I love my this or that, my polarized sunglasses for the boat," say, "Oh, you know what? I am so glad that you loved our premium Ray-Ban polarized extra special coated, et cetera, sunglasses," because those are 2 spots that phrase came up that's associated with your practice. Yeah. So every time you do that, if you can go in there and do that, you're going to get, again, I like to look at Google as, the analogy is an offline librarian. If we remember back in the days with librarians, is they want to, when someone comes in and asks for a certain book, they want to serve up the best book that goes with that particular category. Well, that's what Google's trying to do. They're trying to serve up the best website or the best location for a question that is posed to them. So every time, gosh, I'm really going to date myself here, but in the back of the old library books, you could see how many people checked out a book. They'd have to sign their name to the little card that you'd slip in the sleeve. Sorry for you younger folks who don't remember this.
On that one, because I remember that. They had that for us as well. We had the little slip in the back, and you did a little stamp. Boom, and you have your due date and you move on, right?
So think about it. So not only when you flip over the back of a book, you've got all these reviews by, the higher the level of the guru who's actually, putting their stamp of approval on the book. You're getting all these other authors to say, "Oh my gosh, this is great." Well, when you see all these names in the card, you're saying, "Oh my gosh, this has to be a great book. I even know Susie over here who took out this book." So you're doing the same thing. In essence, you're putting your stamp of approval by getting that review. It's kind of loosely that same thing. So, and I think too, there's sort of this warm feeling that you get when you see the doctor reaching back and saying thank you very much for, for giving us this review and for talking about us. We really appreciate it. As you know, there's nothing more, exhilarating than a patient saying job well done. And again, what that does, you going back to the analogy of the librarian, is the librarian's patting, Google is patting you on the back, you, Dr. Glover, on the back for having more and more information. So every time you get a pat on the back, that's Google's going to say, hey, this person is doing a great job. I'm going to elevate them in the, up in the ranks. Yeah. So let me touch on it's sort of both the ethics and HIPAA. They're actually two separate things. The ethics of it is...
Before you go in there, I'm going to cut you
go
off,
ahead.
And I apologize.
Okay.
No. Sitting here, we're talking about how we should utilize the name of the practice and the doctor on these reviews. We had the opportunity and pleasure of also having Trudy on the Clubhouse hang out with us a couple Sundays back. And one thing that I thought she mentioned that was pretty interesting was that when you're bidding for Google ads, you should actually also bid on your own name. And I thought about that from what you had just stated as before, because that can also help elevate you in regards to getting to the top of the list, or people clicking on you to help grow your practice or brand recognition as well.
Right. Well, and also, and Trudy Charist, I think is how she pronounces it, or Charist, but she's from marketing for ECPs, and I just love the work that she's doing over there. I'm very impressed with her web designs and her digital marketing skills as well. But she had a lot of good information, and we'll circle back, but she had a lot of good information about Google AdWords, and a lot of things I didn't realize is most eye doctors who want to do it themselves tend to not do enough keywords. They do about 10 times less what she actually does. So that was enlightening. And also the amount of money to put towards it. It's important to keep at least a level of $500 a month, or else it's kind of a waste. And make sure that your website is up to date and is optimized, because you don't want people spending money going to a website that looks horrible and does not represent your brand. And lastly, to make sure that you're only running the ads when you're actually open, because there's a tendency for people to want to, when they click through an ad, they want to call the office right then, and they get frustrated if it's after hours and they get a voice message. So only have and you can pick that, and the, digital marketing agencies know to do that. When do you want to run these ads? And absolutely only run them on the days and the hours that you're open. So I thought that was important. But so let me go ahead and, can I go to the ethics and HIPAA?
I'll say one more thing, just because I'm cutting you off today, right?
No, we're cutting each other off. Go for it.
All these topics that we're touching on, you guys, you can actually go to Dr. Sandi's website, and every week she does a recap of each one of these topics, and it's so much great information that she's able to just put it in one place that you can have a resource for or two. So make sure you check out her website. You can see it down on the scrolling timeline down there, but also right here as her on part of her avatar. So you guys check her out, because she has a lot of great content, and she can really help take your practice to the next level, especially when it comes to marketing. And book her, sit down with her, let her do some consulting with you, and take it to the next level. I mean, for me, I'm all about eye care and pushing the profession forward, and I feel like in order to do that, as I always say, we have to work together, and we have to utilize our experts in the industry. And Trudy and Dr. Sandi are both experts, and you guys need to utilize them. But Dr. Sandi, I promise I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to let you.
No, you're fine. We have a blast. We could talk all day. I tell you.
That's what we do on Sundays.
I know. Join us, guys. We have so much fun. I tell you. And I'll give you the links, but I do for the Clubhouse notes. It's drsandieveleth.com/ch notes. So you can find those, and Darryl has been kind enough to put my my booking link there. As you can tell, I'm exceedingly passionate about digital marketing for the eye care profession. So I work with optometrists, and I work with vendors. So I just absolutely love giving tips and and customize it to your practice, but not for the commercial. So the ethics of getting reviews is you just have to be careful. It doesn't, and Yelp tends to be bad about this, because they tend to be very stingy in letting honest reviews go up on their site. They just think people make up reviews left and right. And that's not true. There have been so many honest to goodness reviews that I've had with clients and myself that were legitimate, and they hide them. They think that they're they're spamming, but they're not. But what you want to do ethically is just, on the checkout is, hey, if you like what we did here, we'd love for you to review. Don't push it. Make it part of the natural script. It doesn't need to be, you don't want to push people. You don't want to promise them something if they go and review you. Just make it part of the natural conversation. Make it easy for them. Have a QR code where they could just click on that with their phones. I mean, nowadays, all you have to do, you don't even need a QR reader. It's just your camera. On the newer iPhones, which is really kind of neat. I think it's probably the same on Android, but just make it, you could make it quietly sitting there at the checkout desk and just have a question. If you like what we did here today, we'd love for you to review us. This is how we get seen. This is how we can serve more of your friends and family and colleagues, et cetera. So just a part of your natural voice, your natural conversation. So that kind of goes to the ethics of it. Now, HIPAA, well, you have to be careful. And we really need to find a good attorney that understands eyecare, HIPAA, and internet marketing, because there are so many places, even some things that I just found out about, so many places where you can get in trouble, including responding to your reviews, whether they're positive or negative. You have to be careful with the personal health information, the PHI. You want to make sure that you're not revealing something, and it's very tricky. That I've even read that even if you do respond, whether it's a positive or negative review, you have to be careful. Even though I'm just telling you right now a good way to do it, you have to get clearance from your attorney, get the right verbiage, find out how you can appropriately respond, because there's a situation where even though the patient is saying, hey, I love Dr. Glover, it may be going against HIPAA compliance for you to respond, I'm so glad you loved being a patient of mine at my ABC practice name, because you could be revealing that they are a patient of yours, and that could be going against HIPAA. So I say to everyone, the legal disclaimer for all of our online chats here is talk to an attorney. You really want to be able to market. You really want to be able to do these things that I'm talking about, but you've got to get that clearance first from someone that understands both our HIPAA compliance laws and internet marketing, and how to do things appropriately so you don't get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
If you hear some noise out there, that's a motorcycle that's outside my window. Sorry about that.
This is live. That's what it's all about. Something else, Dr. Sandi, that you brought up at one of the clubhouse meetings is, we tend to always like to screen cap or have some type of plug-in on our website showing the reviews that people have given us. We have to be careful with that as well.
Same issue. Yeah.
It's
the same. It's for the exact same issue. So it's those screen grabs, it's the you responding to reviews, and it's the thing I touched on earlier, where if someone posts, you're hoping that's one of your micro influencers, or they're just doing it. You've got a raving fan patient out there, and they tag you in the post, and they just can't rave enough about you. Number one, you're responding in that social media post could get you in trouble with HIPAA compliance. And number two, if you grab that and go and share it, you know how we can do that on most of the social media platforms, we can then go ahead and share that post. You could be in trouble with HIPAA. Even though the patient just absolutely loves you, you could be in trouble with HIPAA compliance because you didn't get written authorization. So the bottom line is, no matter, if it can be part of your paperwork every year, don't do it a one and done. Do it every year. Part of your HIPAA compliance, and make sure your staff is bringing it up, because a lot of times we're just signing our names because we know we have to do that in order to have an eye exam. But make sure that part of that is that you are saying, your patients are saying, yes, I approve of, again, check with a lawyer to see what the verbiage would be, but something where they're approving that it's okay to be, talked about on social media and have the reviews, et cetera. And I don't know how they would position it. Would it be a separate paragraph and it's a separate signature? Again, that's where a lawyer can tell us all of that. And I would love for us to be able to have a chat, and you and I could, shoot those questions and get it. Because I really want to get that information, because I read contradicting things, and, we really want to be, I'm just one of those that everything, the T's have to be crossed and the I's have to be dotted. Everything has to be just so. So I really want to make sure that we're giving adequate information. And I just think it's so important to get an attorney to give us, for once and for all, what can we do online? Because even if we're capturing emails, if we have, the money's in the list. We talked about email marketing, and no, email marketing isn't dead. And can we sell through our emails? Yes, we can. And we often do. It's one of the main ways that internet marketers are making millions and billions of dollars online is through their email marketing
Well, they're doing this
campaigns.
targeting thing now, right? They
You
have
can target you. Yeah.
target and be
Yeah.
able to cater directly to that patient or that
Yep.
consumer and really accommodate their lifestyle, because you have the data, you know what they're interested in, and you can kind of create something that's going to be of their interest for the most part, correct?
Right. Right, exactly. I mean, we haven't ran our database, which is excellent. We've got the diagnoses in there, and again, we have to be very careful. But just think, I've actually, you didn't know this, but I'm actually putting together a calendar that we all know the general
Yeah,
conditions for the eye care industry every month, but I've actually dug quite deep in that. So there's at least, I'd say, 4 to 10 different topics every month that hits the eye care industry that we could easily do an email newsletter, an email marketing campaign. And just think how neat it would be if you could segment your emails for those glaucoma suspects or for those, pre-diabetics or diabetics. There's so many things that we could do to target those specific people if we wanted to, or just send out a general newsletter. That's fine as well. But you've got to be so cautious if you are targeting them and making an assumption that these people, I mean, you're not revealing the emails to anybody else, but snafus happen and you can send out emails that might have the person's name in it.
yeah,
So you just have to be really careful, because it's a very costly mistake. Even one email that goes out that has the personal health information could cost you tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. So that's, the importance of getting that information by an
yeah,
attorney is
yeah.
vital.
I love that in this clubhouse chat that we have every Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, that we cover all these topics. And the one thing that I would love people to understand is that, when it comes to digital marketing, it's not just social media. I mean,
Oh,
there's
right.
the email piece, there's the Google My Business piece. There's so many different avenues that you have to take in order to really be able to bring those patients into your practice. And when you're able to really understand that and hone in on those skills and master that, or find someone like a Dr. Sandi that can come in and really help and take the wheel and make a difference, it will really change how much money you bring into your practice. It will really change the loyalty that you have to your practice. But you guys really have to step your game up and understand the importance of it and utilize digital marketing, because this is where the future of anything is, not just healthcare, not just eye care, but just everything in general. Think about how you consume information. Think about how you purchase items. If you're not trying to apply that same concept to eye care and looking at the different ways of how people are contacting you, you're going to be lost in the sauce and your practice is going to close, or you're going to suffer and not be able to make as much money as you can. So you guys really have to step it up. Let's touch on Google My Business for the last little bit here,
Sure.
because I think that's a big piece that everyone should utilize. I know Gary really honed in on that on our chat, and he gave some great insight, and I know he's a master at that. So let's just touch on that a little bit, Dr. Sandi.
Sure. Sure. It's, if for those that might not know what that even is, again, Google being the biggest library on earth, you want to make sure that your practice is actually what we call indexed. Again, I go back to the librarian analogy, where those little index cards, for those that remember back, that's how you found a book. It was alphabetically filed, and you would go look for a book, and if it was indexed, if it was in that index, that means the book was in the library. Well, Google doesn't need to alphabetize, because we're online now. So you just plug something into the search field and look to see what Google serves up on what we call the search engine results pages, or the SERPs. So you don't want to leave it up to chance that your website has been indexed in the big library of Google. You want to make that happen. And it's really easy to do that for our profession, because we're a local business. We're a local small business. So Google My Business is an index specifically for a local business. You can put any kind of business, but for local businesses, it absolutely shines. So I think it's google.com/business. I think there's 2 or 3 ways you can get to it, but just Google My Business, and it's going to come up, and you want to see if your practice is actually listed there. And if it's not, you want to make sure that you do list it. And as soon as you go to that site, it's going to walk you through how you need to do it. And several tips on that. First of all, you need to verify there may be a listing for your practice up there that Google put up there because somebody did go ahead and review your practice before you actually listed your own practice up there. All of a sudden there's a listing for Dr. Darryl Glover, but maybe they spelled it Daryl or Daryll, and they put your name wrong because it wasn't. It was a patient doing a review, and they were doing their best to spell your name correctly, but they didn't realize it.
Right.
So there may be a listing for your practice up there, but it has incorrect information. Google does its best to fill in the information. The librarian does its best to fill in the information, but so you want to take control of that. And what you want to do is if your listing is already up there, there's a way, there's a place for it where it says, is this your business? Absolutely. You click on that, you start to fill out the information. If your, practice isn't listed yet, you up on Google My Business, you want to go ahead and list it. And it gives you so many opportunities. You're going to have to get your practice verified, I think, before you can completely fill out the listing. I'm not sure about that, but you need to get it verified in order for you to be able to start responding to the Google reviews, etc. So go ahead and optimize that listing. And what I mean by that is upload images of your practice, of the inside, of smiling staff members, get their permission. And of course, patients get their permission. Do a video walkthrough, show what it means, from the point of view of a patient, give them that warm, comfortable feeling that there's nothing scary about an eye exam. Show them the brands. It's really important. Gary reminded us of that too, how important it is to make sure that you're listing the brand names. You can do that in Google My Business. The other thing that he mentioned is that most small businesses, when they're doing the listing, I don't know if they just miss it or they're not paying attention, but they typically only list 1 or 2 categories. You can actually list up to 9 categories. So if you happen to be a vision therapy specialty practice, you can list it in a phrase that a patient might Google. So think about those. Do, the keyword research, find out what the best keyword phrases are. We can have another whole conversation on that, but start to optimize. You can go back and edit it. Don't worry if you think you did something wrong. Everything, you can go back and edit it and just get your branding up there. Get all of the information about what the office hours are. Put your scheduling software link there where patients can book directly from Google. Google loves that. Put your scheduling telephone number up there. Make sure it's a picture of you and not a stock photo. It amazes me how many websites and how many listings have doctors that are actually, they're just stock photos of those doctors. And make sure your pictures are relevant for now. Put those masks on. Get those pictures taken. Just get a local photographer to come out and take photos of you with your masks on, because right now everybody's wearing masks. If you put an old photo of you standing next to a patient or standing next to your staff without masks, potential patients are going to sit there and think, well, maybe these doctors don't follow COVID protocol. So make sure that the information is relevant as it goes up.
Exactly. Well, this has been phenomenal, Dr. Sandi, and I just love all the information that you always bestow upon us and gift us and get us along. Because again, this is the future, you guys. You got to step up your game. The way of marketing is no longer the same, so we have to do a better job. So what I would love to do, Dr. Sandi, is just I want you to give a call to action to the industry.
Sure.
I want you to let them know how they can get in contact with you and how they can
Sure.
Grow their marketing strategy.
Sure. So like Darryl said, drsandiEveleth.com. It's strolling along the bottom. Sometimes it's hard to know how to spell my last name, but that's what it is. And let me give you a couple of them. If you want to come join Darryl and I for our clubhouse, I've made it kind of easy. It's drsandiEveleth.com/join club. And you're going to get that pop up in Clubhouse. And if you're already on Clubhouse, fantastic. You can just go find us. The notes are at drsandyeveleth.com/ch notes. And I go even into more detail because I do a little bit of research. So I give you extra information even beyond what's on the Clubhouse. But we do absolutely encourage you to join us over there because we get these great discussions. We had an awesome discussion last week about, really positioning ourselves as way beyond optometrists that just do a routine eye exam. We are behavioralists. We transform the lives of our patients. So come in, join the lively conversation. We get you up on stage. You can hang out. You don't have to say anything or open up your mic and talk as much as you want. And then lastly is my booking link, drsandyeveleth.com/book Dr. Sandi. I am absolutely passionate about helping you grow your practice. It's an hourly consultation. There is a fee involved because I really get into it. We record the session. I do send you some notes from the session as well. And I do a little bit of research for you. So if I gave you some links or I talked about some things specifically for your practice, I put that work into it. So I spend about 3 or 4 hours in putting that together. So all of that is encompassed in that hourly consulting. I can usually get it done in an hour. Sometimes we come back and book for 2 or 3 more sessions. So that's something I do. I do have a much more involved offer, but we'll hold off on that and explain that at another time. Thank you, Darryl. I appreciate it.
No, thank you. And thank you for always hanging out with me and giving me the opportunity to hang out with you every Sunday. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Darryl Glover. And again, thank you, Dr. Sandi, for all your education, all your information. You guys tune in and check her out. And we look forward to seeing you Sunday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Check out my Instagram and you'll be able to see the link to get there. You guys have a great one. Talk to you later. Peace.